The ex-CEO of a local company involved in a massive securities fraud case returns to the witness stand in the trial of former state representative Peter Beck. John Fussner was once Beck's business partner in a company called Christopher Technologies, or C-Tech. While the company never made a dime, investors say they lost millions because they were conned by Beck's prominent position and other company officials. Beck and his attorneys claim he's a scapegoat and a victim, even though he got paid while others lost fortunes. Local 12's Rich Jaffe is in the newsroom with a look at the man behind the company. Rich?
Rob, if you read about John Fussner on his consulting business website or in his bio, he looks like a pretty impressive guy. An ex-cop, a security specialist, the head of multiple companies. On that level, you can see why people might be inspired to put money behind his ideas. But if you look a little deeper, you might change your mind. John Fussner's on the courtroom hot seat because he was the head of Christopher Technologies. For his testimony against the ex-company CFO Peter Beck, Fussner's being allowed to plead guilty to 2 felonies, the state dropping 8 more. C-Tech was a startup company that lured investors into spending millions of dollars on a plan to develop tracking technology to be used on people in emergencies. For nearly 30 years, Fussner has sold himself as a law enforcement guy and security expert. On one of his company websites, Fussner's bio says he was in law enforcement, a member of the SWAT team and Dignitary Protection Unit. Something repeated again on his resume, member of SWAT team. In the 80s, Fussner spent 3 years as a University of Cincinnati police officer and 1 year on the Coleraine Township Police Department. Outside the courtroom, I asked John about his SWAT team experience. Were you ever on a SWAT team? John, were you on a SWAT team?
Yes, I was at the University of Cincinnati, and you can look it up. Check with Chief Edward Bridgman.
Actually, I talked to Ed Bridgman, and I talked with Gene Ferrara. They said they never had a SWAT team.
They had a Dignitary Protection Unit that was both a SWAT team.
No, it's not a SWAT team. It's different. According to his personnel jacket obtained by Local 12, Fussner took a 1-week course in special weapons and tactics. Ex-UC Police Chief Gene Ferrara told me UC has never had a SWAT team. In 1988, when John Fussner left Coleraine Township Police after barely a year, then Chief Edmund Phillips said he would not recommend Fussner for reemployment, saying he cannot accept criticism and was not a team player. On Fussner's bio, we found something else that appears to stretch the truth. Under military experience, John Fussner lists United States Air Force Auxiliary, retired Lieutenant Colonel. That's the Civil Air Patrol. It's not a military organization. When the case against Pete Beck wraps up, John Fussner will be sentenced for the 2 securities fraud charges which he's already pled guilty to. The Attorney General's office has said they will not seek prison time in exchange for his testimony, but Fussner will probably not be adding his new title, convicted felon, to his resume. In the newsroom, Rich Jaffe, Local 12 News. Rob?
Rich, this trial is just deciding the criminal aspects of this case, right? This is not about the people who did this investing getting their money back.
That's exactly right. This is purely criminal, although one of the co-conspirators, if you will, the church that was involved in all this, or what many people, including the Attorney General, call a cult, has been ordered as part of the settlement on all this to pay $250,000 in restitution. But there is also a civil case in the wings waiting for all of this, and that will deal specifically with trying to recoup some of the financial losses for the investors in this whole thing.
Rich Jaffe, thanks very much. John Fussner will be returning to the witness stand tomorrow as the defense cross-examines him. That will continue in the morning.